Folks, welcome back. Santo Sessa here with RE/MAX Premier. I have the latest market report for week ending August 23rd. First of all, I want to say thank you so much for everybody that's watching, that's commenting. I love your comments. Comment below. Some of you completely disagree with what I'm saying. It's good news. Let's get into the conversation back and forth. And just to let you know, I'm not doing this for the good of my health. I am a full-time realtor. My organization is called Team Sessa. I'm a full-time realtor. My wife is a full-time realtor. My son, who's behind the camera, you could see him here now, he is just about to get his real estate license, so we can handle your business. If you're looking to buy, sell, or have any real estate questions, give us a call. Okay, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to first of all talk about Vaughan, freehold, and condos. Then I'm going to get into the City of Toronto market, freehold and condos. Now, the City of Toronto, you should know, the average sold price has dropped 3 weeks in a row now. We're going to get to that in just a minute. But let's start off with Vaughan. Okay, so I've got here every single week from starting March 8th all the way to August 23rd, which was just a few days ago on Sunday. And the reason why I'm starting from March 8th is because that's just before we went into the lockdown and we were breaking records price-wise. So I'm comparing where are we now to where we were before the lockdown. Sales have been increasing the last few weeks. Price was dropping, but now it's gone up from last week to this week. And when we look at, in general, the last few weeks, when we look at prices, average sold price, we're pretty much where we were just before we went into the lockdown. If we want to be really specific, we are 1.1% higher for week ending August 23rd than where we were week ending March 8th. But in general, we are around the same price as where we were before the lockdown. Sales have gone up, and let's look at, compared to last year, we are 9.1% higher when it comes to average sold price. Now again, this is for freehold properties for Vaughan. Now, 9.1% higher, that's a little over $100,000 difference. So, did your home go up personally, your personal home go up by $100,000? Maybe, maybe not, but on average of all the properties sold this year for this week, we are $100,000 more on average than what was sold a year ago for the same time. Now, when we talk about comparing the same time, I'm laughing because there's so many moving parts here. When I talk about last year, let's just call last year a normal market. We had a spring, we had a summer, we had a fall, and spring is normally where lots of activity, lots more action. It's the high point of the year. Summer, kind of things tend to calm down. Average sold price tends to slow down. Activity tends to slow down. Well, this year, it didn't happen. Our spring was basically gone. It was it's almost like we're doing what Trudeau's doing. He prorogued the government and said, whoa, stop everything. I don't want you looking in everything. Put a pause. Well, we're proroguing this year. It seems we prorogued the real estate market because come halfway through March, April, May, very quiet. So we didn't have a spring. This summer now seems to be our new spring. So we're comparing a very busy time, which normally shouldn't be, to last year when it wasn't so busy because it was a typical summer. So average sold price is much higher this year for the same time than it was last year. When we look at sales, of the 70 that were sold for this week, week ending August 23rd, 51% of them were sold at list price or more. And the reason why I like that stat as far as how many sold at list price or more, what percentage, kind of gives you an idea of the kind of enthusiasm that's going on in the market. I speak to buyers all the time, and many times they'll see a list price and they just automatically want to go way less. Well, sometimes it's possible. Sometimes you're paying over list price. And in this case, half the properties sold at list price or more. So it's just not automatic. You see a list price and you go less. and we're selling way more than we did last week at the same time. Listings are way up. Now, when we look at the previous weeks, listings were higher than they were last year. Now, sorry, I should say orange is this year, blue is last year. I forget that some of you are maybe new coming on and watching this for the first time. But when we look at this week, listings are way higher. Why is that? There's so many ways of looking into this. We could be saying because average sold price is so much higher, sellers are really starting to see, hey, there's an opportunity here for us to cash out or to take advantage of the high prices. Let's get into the market. Maybe it's that. Maybe it's a lot of people in a smaller home, and now that they're spending more time at home, especially with the working from home structure, their home is not, they're coming onto the market and putting their home because they want to move up. And then there's other people having financial problems because of our whole health crisis, and the future's very uncertain, and they're looking to maybe kind of downsize or get out of the real estate market. So we're not sure why. I know a bunch of you out there that are listening know why. So why don't you put it down below and let's comment about it. But we don't know why everybody's putting their market out there, putting their properties out there. But I can tell you, way more than we had last year at this time. So if you're looking to buy in Vaughan, there's choices out there. And when we look at months of inventory, which really kind of gives us an idea of where prices are going, if we've got more than 4 months of inventory, that's a balanced market. Under 4 months is a seller's market. In a seller's market, prices will tend to go up. Now, sometimes there's a delay for a few weeks. And in this case, months of inventory have kind of stayed the same week over week, and prices have gone up a little bit. And you know, 2.2 months, earlier it was 2.3, 1.6. It's very steady in a seller's market situation when it comes to freehold properties in Vaughan. Looking at condos, I'm going to go through this really quick, and I say this every single week. And the reason I'm going quick, there's so few sales in Vaughan condos that 1 or 2 sales can really skew the numbers. But generally speaking, we did a couple more sales this week than we did last week. And sales have been dropping for a few weeks, but this last week they went up by about 10 or 11,000. When we compare to where we were at the beginning of March, we're 8.4% less. So we're not quite back at the March numbers. We're much lower. We are on average 2.1% lower than where we were last year at this time, but we were higher the weeks before. Now we're lower. Who knows what next week's going to bring? Remember, sales are not that high, so it's very easy to skew the numbers. Sales are lower than where they were last year, which they really shouldn't be, because last year's market versus this year's market, what I explained earlier, we're in a different market, but sales are lower. Listings are much higher. So sales are lower, listings are higher. You can kind of feel that inventory out there is starting to build, and it shows in the months of inventory. We are just below the balanced market level. Now, this is not an exact science, so you kind of gotta, there's some gray area there, and we're very, very close to being in a balanced market in many situations. You'll have a lot of choices with condos in the Vaughan market. Okay, we're gonna get into now the city of Toronto. There's a lot going on here. For 3 weeks in a row, the average sold price for the city of Toronto has been dropping. And it's interesting that it's dropping, because the amount of properties that have sold at $2 million or more are 42, which is, you know, kind of one of the higher numbers that we had over the last few weeks. When we compare the average sold price of $1,311,000 to where we were at the beginning of March, we're way off the mark. We're 13% lower than we were before we went into the health crisis, before we went into the lockdown. And consistently, the price has been dropping. This is on a weekly basis. And from our high here, which is the end of July, and to August 2nd, our high here of 1.4,053,000 between there and where we are now, just in 3 weeks after, there's a $140,000 difference in average sold price. This is something to keep an eye on. When we compare it to last year's price, we're 9.3% higher. So it depends on which part of this chart is important to you and which of these graphs really make sense to you. If you are not really looking to buy or sell, and you bought last year, or you own your property and you're kind of thinking it's a year later, what's going on with prices? Well, you should feel pretty good. No matter what's happening right now, we're still 9.3% higher than last year. And 9.3% higher is about $111,000 higher than last year. So there's a good chance that your property has gone up in value by quite a bit since last year. But if you're in the market right now, you're not so much concerned about last year's price. You're concerned about prices going down. That's something that you need to keep an eye on, because you want to take advantage of the situation right now. And if you're a seller, you want to take advantage also of the situation right now. So when we look at sales, we are way higher, and we've been higher for a few weeks now than what we were last year. Now, 344 freehold properties were sold in the city of Toronto last week. That's 63%. 63% sold at list price or more. 63%. Can you imagine that? Way more than half of those properties, people are competing. Buyers are in multiple offer situations. Properties are being sold immediately right away as soon as they come on the market. So you're paying right away the list price or more to get that seller to say, okay, I don't want to be on the market anymore. I'm happy with that price. I'm taking it, and it's right away. And I'm telling you this because you really should be aligned with a really, really good real estate agent to help you if you're looking to buy or sell, because there's opportunities there on both sides, and the wrong agent will cost you money. Listings, way up from last year. Now, again, just like I explained in the Vaughan market, the city of Toronto, why are listings so high? We don't know the answer yet, but there's different reasons. It could be as simple as, wow, prices are high. We never expected it. These were the people that were planning to sell in the spring. The spring didn't happen, and they've held off for a little bit after we're kind of coming into more of a normal life now. And they're thinking, now it's time, let's get onto the market. Well, we're kind of coming into the end of August now, and now we've got back to school happening. And before maybe things get a little bit crazy, they're thinking, let me get my house sold because we don't know what's happening in the fall. And you're right, we don't know what's happening in the fall. But I can tell you right now, sales are up. Prices have come down for a few weeks in the city of Toronto. Listings are way up, so you've got some more choices there. But more than half, 63% of the freehold properties in Toronto sold at list price or more. Lots of moving parts, right, folks? When we look at months of inventory, we're way still low in the months of inventory at 1.5, a very strong seller's market. Prices have come down, which is the opposite of what a seller's market should be doing, but prices are still strong, and the fact that 63% sold at list price or more kind of shows that in the seller's market situation there. Looking at Toronto condos is a different story. Sales did drop from 1 week to the next. 23 properties sold at $1 million or more. These are just Toronto condos. Average sold price did jump up, and it's pretty close to where we were pre-COVID. It's 2.6% lower, but pretty close to where we were. In fact, over the last few weeks, we've been kind of on the mark of the pre-lockdown prices. I shouldn't say pre-COVID, pre-lockdown prices. Looking at compared to last year, we're 14.5% higher. I'm talking about just average sold prices when it comes to condos. Now, I know a lot of, me included, a lot of us are expecting prices to come down further in condos. I'll tell you why. Sales are much less than where we were last year. Now remember, last year, August, it's August, it's the end of summer. Sales should be lower. Well, they should be higher this year, and they are in the freehold market, but condos are way lower when it comes to sales. And look at listings. We are way up in listings. So we're buying less condos this year. We're putting more on the market. It should have a downward effect on price. Excuse me. And we could see with months of inventory, we are sitting very close, just entering a balanced market situation. So there's still some activity. Price did jump up slightly, but condo market is not what it used to be. The action, the enthusiasm is more towards the freehold market right now. Could it be because a lot of the condo owners, there's a lot that were investors and maybe now looking at their investment as, well, average rents are dropping. Airbnb is not the same business it was before. Schools, universities, who maybe they'd rent to students, universities are doing a lot of online teachings now, so they're not renting their condos to students like they did before. Maybe the investor themselves are feeling the financial pinch because of the whole COVID health crisis situation. So maybe condos, they're getting rid of their investment. A lot of the condo owners that do have them rented as investment, they're not cash flow positive. There's many that are not cash flow positive. They bought the condos because of the way prices were increasing for the appreciation. And they're seeing that it's just not the same. And they're worried that it's going to get worse, especially with average rents going down. So they're getting rid of their condos. That could be a real good explanation why there's so many more condo listings. Plus, if you live in a condo and now you're working home, you need more space. There's a lot of condo owners selling their condos to get into more space. And if they're going to be working from home, they don't necessarily need to live right downtown. So they're okay to go out into the suburbs, into the Mississaugas, the Vaughan, the Richmond Hills, the Markham, or further out in the King area. So there's a lot of different situations. But condos, months of inventory, very much a balanced market. That's my report. Have an awesome day. Be safe. And my name is Santo Sessa with RE/MAX Premier and Team Sessa. If you need any real estate help, give us a call. Have a great day.